The great state of Texas provides the backdrop for the final two full-field events of the 2007 Champions Tour season. Jay Haas held the Charles Schwab Cup points lead for much of the year, but finds himself right where he was this week a year ago, trailing Lauren Roberts. Haas used a win here to catapult himself to the points win and Player of the Year honors. The champions are lining up at Augusta Pines. Masters champions, U.S. Open champions, Players champions, Texas champions, PGA champions. Mark Wiebe won his first start on this tour just 3 weeks ago. John Cook would like to match that feat this week at the Administaff Small Business Classic. The Champions Tour is proud to present the ongoing race for the Charles Schwab Cup. We're in the Lone Star State for today's live first-round coverage of the Administaff Small Business Classic. It is gorgeous weather here at the Woodlands, just a little bit below 80 degrees, not much wind, and Bernhard Langer with a one-shot lead at this point over Eduardo Romero. Hale Irwin finished runner-up in a playoff in the first Administaff Small Business Classic. He's only 2 back. Look at some rookies here. You've got Marco Mira at 2 under par. He's only 3 back. Chip Beck doing well. Fred Funk won his first event on the Champions Tour in San Antonio last year. And look at Blackmar, Sluman, and Wiebe, 3 rookies down at the bottom of this page. Donnie Hammond's a rookie as well. He's 4 back. Just a moment ago at the 10th hole, Bob Gilder for birdie.
Another player opting to use the claw grip. Gilder shakes it in, goes to -4, just 2 back from Langer.
Here's Fuzzy Zeller's third shot. Oh, yeah. From one Masters champion to another. Fuzzy drops a birdie. He's now 2 behind Langer, 4 under par. We're going to keep with that Masters theme and go to Bernhard Langer for par here at number 10. Birdie, excuse me.
Just to continue the run.
Oh. Good roll.
Already, he's had tons of chances for even more birdies today. 6 under through 10 holes.
Number 12, Mark James, second shot.
Nickname in Europe is actually Jesse James. That'd fit well in Texas, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
Jesse James. Driven it good down the left-hand side. Little low one coming in. Sharpshooter.
Trying to steal an eagle there. Now at Doherty for birdie, Billy Ray on 13.
Well, this to get to 5 under par. Played a nice wedge shot into this position. Missed opportunity there. It's par 5 today, almost unreachable. Back into the breeze today. 3-shot hole.
Would have pulled him within 1 of Bernhard Langer. Fred Funk, Donna.
And he was also 2 under par going into this 9th hole. This birdie putt downhill will move down to his right.
Such a tough putt to read.
Langer at 11 to extend his lead.
Just putting through a little trough there.
Good roll.
Speed is excellent.
Earlier at 9, Hale Irwin.
And we talked about 149 yards. Hale taking a little off of a 7-iron and working that ball left to right into the hole.
Shot. Good shot. Away. Thank you. Get it. Thank you.
Fuzzy Zeller with birdies at 10 and 11. Looking for 3 in a row.
Unmistakable putting style.
How about Fuzzy one back? To 14 at Doherty for birdie.
Longest par 4 on the back side. So a 3 here would be like stealing one from the field. Doherty ex-vet, as you were saying before. Dave, see the big swing there from right to left. Pretty good line.
Oh, at Doherty. Led last week in the opening round of the Constellation Energy Classic. Now he's only one behind Bernhard Langer. Some late season good play. Let's go to Fred Funk now for birdie number 10.
We'll give that a hit. Back up the hill.
th hole, Marco Mira for birdie.
Kyte just seemed to pull across the line there. Still went on a good line.
That's his 4th of the day against a bogey. He had a bunch of pars in a row. Had 6 of them. Now he's right back on it. Now paid at 13 to pull, tied if he can, actually to pull within 1.
This is for a birdie 4 on the par 5.
Earlier to 11. Mark McNulty for birdie.
Winner here just a couple of years ago. So he knows the greens.
Also earlier at 10, Jay Haas for birdie.
And this birdie putt straight up the hill from about 10 feet. That ball hopped on him. Was not one of his better strokes.
Earlier at 15, Marco Mira for birdie.
Just putting through the Bermuda Fringe. He's just starting to fill it up. They're going in 100 miles an hour, but just wave it off. It's another birdie.
And he's only 2 behind Bernhard Langer. 12, Mark McNulty for birdie.
There was a day in his career when he took the putter out, you just closed your eyes. He could roll it like nobody else. Time hasn't taken too much of that away.
Bobby Locke. You had obviously Gary Player. What's it about South Africans and putting?
That's a good point. They actually grew up on really poor greens too. Maybe that's it. Just grow up on bad greens. Everything else is like a billiard table.
Oh, the 05 champion.
I kept my eyes open that time. It still goes in. Well, now Fuzzy Zeller
for a share of the lead.
He was up a little early, a little curious. And that will get his full attention. That one some 4 or 5 feet past. Now Hale Owen.
After hitting an 8-iron in here pin high, should swing down to his left. And another green where from the center of the green pitches to the front. Lots of movement in these greens.
Hale padding his bounce back stats. Birdies at 9 and 11. Coming off of bogeys at the 2 previous holes. He's now 2 behind Langer.
Shade inside 30 feet. Disappointed with that wedge shot on there. He's done the right thing though. Comfortable 2 putts. Doesn't make 2 mistakes in a row. Very rarely anyway.
Jerry Pate for birdie at 15.
Saw him at the utility club off the tee. But going straight back up the hill. Had to take half a shoulder turn on that backswing. Still short.
Now Dennis Watson at the 14th, his second shot.
14, the long par 4. And what do you people in American say? $175. What's that? 175 yards. That's about what it is. I'd say it's a good shot.
Very nice. Probably hit it about $180.
Yeah.
Tom Kyte for birdie at 13.
Going with the belly putter now. It's a good effect.
Thank you.
Now at 14, Langer to reclaim the lead.
Very deliberate player. Another one with long putter. Really gives a rip there, doesn't it? Just pours it, and the speed's been excellent today. 7 under through 14. It's pretty good playing, isn't it?
At 15, Tom Jenkins putting from the fringe. Left a little work to be done there.
Well, that was from 58 feet and 10 inches. Nicely done.
Just a moment ago at 16, Jeff Sluman to get to 10 under.
And putting uphill and again into the green. Have to get it a little bit harder, hit it a little bit harder.
Another rookie in double digits here. Now Kyte for birdie.
And this to get to 12 under. What a shot he hit in there, you guys.
Donna, 4 birdies in 5 holes. Tom Kyte had 3 in a row. Took a little breather there on number 15, and here he's back on the birdie train.
Well, 15, Bernhard Langer from some 40-odd feet.
And John, this is one of those situations that he would just like a 2-putt par and move over to the 16th tee.
I agree with you.
Coming back down the hill.
Pretty good break left to right.
A little bit break from left to right.
I think when you get some of these cross-grain putts, Billy Ray, it's really hard to judge the speed.
Well, and that's one of the key issues. Is Bernhard spoke yesterday how he putted so well that he really had a good feel of what the grain and the speed was going to do. And this is, you implement those tactics when you have these long putts. And not too bad.
Pretty well done. To 15, Craig Stadler for birdie.
He played a fantastic shot in here. Just back up the hill. Just a little break if it loses speed to the right.
What's Stad's demeanor right now?
Well, it's actually not too bad. I spoke with him in the last 2 holes. He's just really frustrated that he's unable to put the ball in the fairway. And if you can't put the ball in the fairway here, we see a lot of low numbers. But if you don't put it in the fairway, it's very tough.
Now back to 17 and Tom Kyte.
And John, you know, he was so lucky that that ball didn't kick down into the water. Everything slopes from his ball all the way down to the hazard that surrounds this green. He had a little bit of a turn on it, and it kicked right. I have never seen a ball do that on this green.
If you're from Texas, you can get that kind of spin when you're playing in Texas.
You know what? You're going to have to teach that to me.
But this gives him an uphill run at it, doesn't it, Donna?
It does. It's straight uphill, as you know, and very slow.
So is his pace much better with this long putter, you think?
You know, he looks a lot more comfortable. And, of course, he's hit the ball so close to the hole that, you know, he could close his eyes and make them.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. Whoa.
Try.
Bernhard Langer.
We saw that beautiful second shot back in here, and he's one of these putts I don't think you should try to overread. Get up pretty straight.
He reads the tournament so well, Billy Ray. If he were to pop this in par 5 finishing hole, you know, without trying to get too far ahead, get to 16, it just puts a lot of people out of the equation.
You know, and that's probably one thing. That's a good point, Frank. He is not thinking about that. He plays in the moment, and that's our job. We look ahead and maybe to separate himself from the field or more, but that's the kind of player that Bernhard is. He plays one shot at a time, and that is a great way to play.
From the outside, it's appeared for so many years like no one gets as unflappable as he does. Frank, you played against him so often. Have you ever seen him at a loss or flustered in any way?
I think a lot of people think back to the Ryder Cup in 1991, where he had the 6-footer to tie the Ryder Cup. It was against Hale Irwin. Great 3 there. And he missed it. And a lot of people, they think of his career that way and the things that Bernhard didn't do. A lot of people forget the very next week was a tournament in Germany that he won. What did he do? He goes back to Germany in front of his home crowd and he wins. That's how he bounces back. He's as resilient as anyone I've ever seen.
Tom Kyte second.
And we saw his ball land in the bunker, has a perfect lie, 203 to the hole. And that's a 4-iron, and this is all over the flag.
What a great shot from there.
What a great shot.
Now the 17th hole, Tom Jenkins.
Bernhard Langer just behind him, watching this putt really close. Just inside Jenkins.
Good pace. Can't believe it.
You think you can do everything right, you just can't hold them all. Frank, you've had a number of times to play with Bernhard over in Europe before you got on the PGA Tour, and you've seen him go through swing transformations and putting transformations, and we talk about his skill level as a player, but mentally he is a tough player.
He was always frustrating either to play with or even practice rounds because he would never leave anything to chance. You'd think he's driving it good. He'd have a new driver in the bag because he wanted to go a little lower. You think he's putting good, he'd try a long putter. To win the Masters back in '85 and then turn around 8 years later, do it with a totally different technique. We've seen him cross-handed, long putter. For Bernhard, it's all about trying to find something that just goes lower, shoots a lower score. He doesn't really care about the equipment. As far as he's concerned, it's just simply a tool. A chance here, Billy Ray, to widen this lead.
He has really narrowed down this putt, as I mentioned, on the same line as Jenkins. We saw his ball not turn as much at the end that he anticipated. Yes.
Wow. You were right, Billy Ray. He can't follow up a 62 with another great round.
Tom Kyte for eagle.
And it's 32 feet 8 inches. This for eagle, putting uphill. And Frank, he walked by me and said, "Oh, I'm so glad that shot's over with." He had this huge grin on his face. And the thing then that made that shot so good is that it was a perfect lie in the bunker.
And certainly a great second shot.
Let's go out to the 18th tee here in Bernhard Langer. What's the ideal tee shot here, Mark?
Just kind of keeping it down the right side, really, Casey, because the wind's coming off the right and it's helping you, and you can kind of use the wind to ride it. That's a wonderful drive right there. It's in position to where he's going to have an iron to the green. Today that's the 200 marker right there to the middle, so he probably has something around 172 to the front edge.
Here's Tom Kyte for his birdie, and he's wielding the long wand.
Well, I noticed the two guys, they're kind of top of the leaderboard. Look at this. Mr. Kyte with the long putter, Mr. Langer with that long putter.
He seems to be having some renewed confidence there.
Might be me soon with the long putter, you never know.
Let's take a look at a number of scores here. Bernhard Langer with a 3-shot lead. He's got an eagle putt, though. It's lengthy on the 18th hole. Tom Jenkins with an eagle putt as well. He'd love to make up some ground. Thorpe is finished with a good round. He's number 30 on the Charles Schwab Cup points list. Jay Haas, the defending champion, finds himself 7 back.
2 putts here right now would make tomorrow's job just a little bit easier.
Well, this from 50 feet and to get to 17 under par. Check that. That would have got him to 18 under par. That was for eagle. Nicely done.
We look at the leaderboard. There's Langer, that would be to go 17 under par. Mirror in at 13, Kyte at 13. Then you got to go back to the 10s. So that little 3-birdie finish.
Well, Frank, he noticed the humongous scoreboard just left of the green here, and he took a good long look at the scoreboard and knew exactly his situation. He was just trying to pile one more on there.
Those last 3 birdies in a row were like a dagger to the field. John Mahaffey talked about how important it is to drive the ball around this golf course. He's used 3 woods drivers on different holes as we watch Tom Jenkins. It looks like he's certainly got a great strategy for this golf course.
Well, Frank, you look at tomorrow's pairings with Mark O'Meara and Bernhard Langer, both trying to get their first wins. I'm sure there will be some jitters out there tomorrow.
You got 3 accomplished players tomorrow in that final group. And Jenkins, 2 pars on the 2 par 5s, 3 putted them both.
Follows up his 66 with a 4 under par round of 68.
And Dave, it could have been so much more lower missed opportunities, golden opportunities on the backside today.
It's been a day to forget for Stadler. Former Masters champion, winner at every level, amateur, pro, major. Bad day for the Walrus.
When everyone else was going low as well. You never want to shoot over par, but today lost much ground. Plenty at stake for the three men in the final group. Bernhard Langer and Mark O'Meara looking for their first Champions Tour wins, and that has been well documented. What you might not know, though, is Tom Kyte, 103 starts on the PGA Tour and Champions Tours, 0 wins, looking for his first win in his home state. And Frank Nobilo, the highlights started early. Bernhard Langer wasting no time, his third to the par 5 second.
Yeah, this hole just under 500 yards, misses the green on the right, but with his short game, he would still get up and down and make birdie.
That would get him to 18 under. Tom Kyte now for eagle at the same hole.
He must make this to try and close the gap, get one back from Langer. The long putter uses it well there.
The lead was 4. He trims it to 3. Now after bogey at the third, O'Meara for birdie at 4.
He needs this to get right back into the action straight away. Good stroke, good 3.
Langer with birdie 6, now his second shot to the 8th.
Just a perfect drive down the right-hand side, and he has been brilliant with his irons all week. And this looks like no exception here. What a great shot.
So Langer would have another attempt at birdie. Here he is to try and go to 20 under par. And Langer's lead would be 5 after that putt at number 8. Now O'Meara in neutral after that birdie at the 4th. Here he is for birdie again at 11.
Trying to get within 5. He is. There's hope for O'Meara.
O'Meara within 5. He's the closest pursuer at this point because Bernhard Langer is just cruising along. He's only had 1 bogey in all of his holes. 47 of them here at Augusta Pines. Tom Purcher started birdie eagle, but then he fell back with another bogey. D.A. Weibring, you see him just about to finish up. Chip Beck and Fuzzy Zeller, nice rounds for them. Donna Capone Burns will join us. She's out on the golf course with Billy Ray Brown, and Casey Beer will handle our interviews. Let's go out to 12, Langer's second shot, and bring in Billy Ray.
Well, thank you, Dave. This from 145 yards, helping breeze. It's a 9-iron there for Langer.
Distance control this week's been brilliant. Time and time again, he's been hole high.
Let's go to 18. Earlier, Don Pooley for eagle.
Opened up with rounds of 68, 69. He'll tap that in for a round of 66 and minus 13. Normally good playing. At the moment, it's currently tied 4th, but with the leaders making a mockery of the course this week.
Donna Capone.
And David, this is from 80 yards with the sand wedge. Normally he would have been able to reach his green easily, but drove it in the right rough, and the heavy, heavy lie had to lay up.
Back to 12.
Now Langer for his birdie, and Frank and John, I've noticed the past 2 days as he's increased his lead, he is stuck with his routine. He has been regimented in his approach to each and every shot.
Well, Billy Ray, that's not really any surprise, is it? I mean, he's so dedicated and so focused. Always has been.
You know, it's tough as a player not to watch the leaderboards, you know, as he increases his lead and to play conservative. He has not done that today. He has come out from the word get-go and has played aggressive. And with that birdie, still has a 5-shot lead.
Jeff Sluman, in just his 4th Champions Tour start of the year. Second shot. Long par 4, playing down breeze today. Normally 455 yards. Just a drive and a short iron for Sluman today, though.
Now Ben Crenshaw for par at the 15th hole. Breaker right to left here, up the hill. Oh.
Let's go forward to 18, Dan Jansen for a natural eagle putt. You might be asking, what is a multiple gold medal winner doing in a Champions Tour event? Well, there are two threesomes of champions, celebrities. You see right there, Clyde Drexler as well, and Gary Carter is playing, as is Roger Clemens. It's called Johnny and the Rocket, and they're raising $250,000 for charity and getting some great champions from Houston and around the country to come down here and entertain these fans. It's a very interesting format, playing within the Champions Tour event for the final 2 days of the tournament.
Well, Dan Jansen might have been on thin ice on the golf course. Sluman trying to make 3 after that great second shot. Not to be, just 1 under for his round today.
Now back to 13, Mark O'Meara, his second shot out of the left rough.
Well, just to be a layup here, John. His ball sits down. He has 210 yards to the front of the green. And that's all carry over the hazard. He's just backed off. Tom Kyte now will be next to play.
Billy Ray, there's a tree that overhangs. Is that going to bother Tom Kyte at all?
No, he is in the right-hand side of the fairway. That does not present any problems at all. 215 carries of water, 221 all the way to the hole.
Oh, what a break.
Just
What
about
a
the only
break.
way you can get this ball close today is to land between the hazard and the flagstick.
Maybe that was.
And now O'Meara just laying up, trying to get it within 90 to 95 yards left for his third here at the par 5. Really challenged this hole down the left-hand side, just unable to get to the fairway.
Yeah, forward to 18. 199 yards left for the former Ryder Cup captain, Mark James. Good finishing hole, this par 5, Island Green. And certainly that's what the leaders would like to do when they come to this. Meanwhile, back to the other par 5.
Langer just laying up. He's also found the left-hand rough. It sits down. Only has 185 yards to the front of the green.
Well, there's no way that you'd ever try to go for the par 5s with this kind of lead in 2, would you, Billy Ray?
Especially given the lie that he had there. No chance at all.
Up ahead to 14, Andy Bean. Good round of golf yesterday, 67, opening round of 67. And still chasing another birdie.
And now Tom Kyte with his eagle attempt at 13.
Well, on the upslope, not much green to work with.
Back to 14, Tom Purtzer after a huge drive.
Huge drive, just a wedge left to this green, strong wind behind.
455 yards, just a drive and a 3/4 sand iron on it.
It's just amazing.
Missed any of today's action at Augusta Pines? PGATour.com brings you closer to the competition. Watch Champions Tour video highlights, interviews, shots of the day, and more from Jay Haas, Bernhard Langer, John Cook, Mark O'Meara, and all your favorite players now on PGATour.com.
Well, speaking of Mark O'Meara, here he is for birdie at 13.
Well, John, coming off the birdie back at the 12, still trying to apply some pressure to Langer.
Somebody's got to.
That's true, and I think that was a great way that Marcus played this hole for our viewers to see. He left nothing to chance, laying the ball up here on the par 5. Still has a great birdie opportunity.
Bit of a misread there, Billy Ray.
I think his speed might have been off just a bit.
Now Mark James for eagle at 18.
Now back to 13. Bernhard Langer already 4 under par today. Played great golf. Another birdie putt, Billy Ray.
Yeah, and this back up the hill, John. He has given this one his full attention. He's looked at it from every angle. And every time a player has tried to challenge Langer, he has had the answer each and every time.
This putt's a little bit slower than the players think, Billy Ray.
Well, and I'm sure a lot of players might find that, but Langer, as he studies each and every green, he has charted what the grain does on each and every one. He can be aggressive with this one. Nicely done.
Surprise, surprise. Now Tom Kyte putting for birdie. Really needs to make some putts, Billy Ray.
Well, he has really felt comfortable with this new long putter that he has implemented into his bag, and he feels like he's hitting solid putts, he said to me, and he might not be making them all, but he's hitting solid putts, and the short ones right there that he has struggled with is much easier.
14, Tom Pertzer.
A very fast putt from above the hole, just 8 feet. Almost every putt he's missed today has been low and right.
We head to 16. Joe Haas, our defending champion. He will not retain the trophy, we know that, but still a lot of pride. Charles Schwab Cup points. He's got to finish in the top 10 to do that. Currently tied 5th, and this would get him to -14.
Jeff Sluman's second shot at 15 over the green. Oh, 209 yards today to carry the front edge, and nice little chip in for Mr. Sluman there.
Now back to 14. O'Meara.
Little helping breeze from the right. Say 9-iron for O'Meara, 148 yards. Ball just above his feet.
He likes it. And for good reason. Just a shade short.
Another nice shot there.
Tom Kyte, sadly, 103 times he's come to Texas, Billy Ray, yet to pick up a title in his home state.
Well, it looks like you might increase that to 104 at into this week, and it's something that sits dear in his heart. He would really like to win in his home state of Texas.
Proud Texan like yourself.
Yeah, and I know when I want to talk about winning in Texas, but when I won the Byron Nelson, that was a big win for myself to win in our home state. That also a 9-iron.
No quitting Kyte. He'll fight to the end.
Now Tom Pertzer for birdie, Donna.
And just from above the hole, hasn't really made a bunch of putts today. He's had them close.
Now there's a look of our leader. More than 60 titles around the world. He's just demolished this golf course. And Billy Ray, if he makes this one, it's just nearly embarrassing.
It really is just icing on the cake, and I can report to you Tom Kyte went on to make his par. He'll send this out well to the right, let the slope take it back to the left. Thought he had it. Just a bit more speed.
Lonnie Nielsen's second shot.
And this from 135 yards on the right side of the fairway. Hole location back left corner. Have to be very careful that you don't fly it all the way back to the hole, because if you one hop it over, tough up and down. Wind a good club, maybe a club and a half strength right now. Like that ball needs to get up. It's right on the very front edge of the green.
Mark O'Meara from the bunker at 15.
Well, pitched out of its plug mark, perfect lie. Plenty of green to work with. Just as you would expect.
No surprise there. He leads the tour in sand saves, 60.87%. No surprise at all.
It's nice to watch him play out of the bunker. So aggressive, keeps his speed up with the club head.
Also earlier, Tom Kyte's second here at 15.
Well, ball just over the face of the bunker. Ball sits down in the rough. will be an easy 3.
And now Bernhard Langer for his birdie.
Now back down the hill to increase his lead to 7.
Bernhard getting it done inside the ropes. If you're interested in what goes on outside the ropes at Champions Tour events, find out how the Champions Tour positively impacts every community it enters. Learn about the charities supported by this week's Administaff Small Business Classic now on PGATour.com.
And next, Mark O'Meara cleaning up here, Billy Ray.
Well, straightforward putt here to stay within 6. But as you mentioned, running out of real estate. Nicely done, though.
Now Jeff Sluman at 17, long range birdie putt here. Big break left to right up the hill. Ooh, well judged there. Beautiful putt from that length.
And Jay Haas's eagle putt here would get him into a tie for 3rd at this point. He's at 18. So the defending champion will tap in, move up into a tie for 4th, claim some more Charles Schwab Cup points. He trails by 161 points. He'll be within 100 points at the end of this week.
So O'Meara trying to pad that lead on 2nd place.
You see Mark O'Meara going to the club, but for years he was one of the best putters on the PGA Tour. He played with the conventional grip.
Oh, 07 has been a great year for first-time winners. Scott Hoke, even with his injuries, still managed to win in Texas and Austin. Dennis Watson won twice this year, but the Senior PGA Championship, that was so important to him. And Mark Wiebe just a few weeks ago, and Bernhard Langer, I'm sure in a matter of minutes, should I say half an hour, less than an hour, will be adding to that list. Now Mark O'Meara, already a runner-up this year, Senior British Open. Just to stay 1 ahead of Tom Kyte in the battle for 2nd place. But Bernhard Langer, 5'3", birdie putt here. So many times he's hit it inside 10 feet this week. That's made the rest of the game a little bit easier.
As we mentioned at the top of the show, his laser-like control with his distance this week has just played a major factor on this field.
And Billy Ray, he doesn't deal in yards. You know, in a day in which we try and be so precise on the golf course. He's born in Germany, obviously, to state the obvious. Brought up with meters. In every golf course that he plays, he converts back to meters.
Well, I mean, that's just sticking with the game plan like he has all day long. He's not going to change. He's been so consistent throughout his career. No need to change.
So Langer
Walked it right in.
3 under par. 7 shots in front of O'Meara.
Now Lonnie Nielsen with his birdie attempt at 17.
Well, there's a huge leaderboard, and when he was walking up from the tee, took a hard look at it, knows exactly how much this putt would be, and maybe birding or eagling the last hole uphill. Swing to his right, very slow.
Important putt for Tom Kyte. Saw the putt go past the hole, stayed right.
And I think this is where the long putter has made the biggest difference for Tom Kyte. You notice his backstroke is really smooth now.
He anchors it and is just the top of his chest there. Very light grip with the bottom hand. And that's an excellent stroke.
At at 18. Tom Jenkins' second shot to the par 5.
Win.
You stayed right there, Bob.
Marco Miro for birdie at 17.
This is a long one, all the way across the green, back up the hill. A little slice putt from left to right.
Shave the edge. Next to play will be Tom Kyte. His birdie attempt, 17.
He'll wait for Marco Mir to spot his ball. He's coming back from reading this putt from just on the other side. Really a slow putt here, John, and it will try to work back to his left. If it loses speed, it will die right at the hole.
I think you hit the nail on the head the first time. It is so slow going up that hill. It's really hard to judge, Billy Ray. Extremely slow.
Speaking with Tom Kyte about his putter a couple holes ago and asking if he's seen it on film at all, he said he did not want to. He said it feels good. He doesn't want to see the stroke whatsoever. He said he's got paralysis by analysis trying to figure out his putting woes in the recent years, and he's trying to make it simple.
You gained a lot more confidence with it, though.
Well, you see how he holds the 3 and 4 footers with a great speed and a nice stroke, and as you continue to do that, and as a player, you can gain so much confidence.
I gave it a good run.
Well, Tom Jenkins with an eagle putt at number 18. He'd love to get to 14 under. He's fighting Jim Thorpe for that final spot to Sonoma. Start of the day, more than $30,000 out of that final spot. Right now, Bernhard Langer leads by a touchdown and an extra point. He's got the ball, and O'Meara and Kyte are out of timeouts.
I love that, David. You're absolutely right. Okay, Billy Ray, miss or make?
Hey, you got to think he's, just trying to lag this up here and get out with it. But, he continues to put the pedal to the metal. I can say he can make this putt. It's back up the hill, not a ton of movement to the right. Ah, there you go. Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Tom Purcher's second shot here, Donna.
After just killing it off the tee, only has a 6-iron left. Again, it's aided by wind that's behind him. And this ball is right at it.
All right, bud. Let's blow the hole. Good shot. Good job.
And now Marco Miro for his par, 17. Well done.
Now, Purcher tapping in to finish off his birdie. So Purcher started birdie eagle, 3 under par after 2 holes. That's where he finished at the end of the day for his round. Marco Miro is ready to play.
Well, dead center of the fairway. .183 to the front. 212 yards all the way back to the hole, and a green that slopes from right to left. Ideally, he loves to play it from right to left. Tom Kyte has chosen to play this from the left-hand rough, just about the identical yardage. He needs to land this in the front third of the green and let it chase back. Well, he has just cleared the hazard a couple times on this backside. They're at 13. The other par 5 and right here at the 18th. And now Marco Miro. 5-iron. Nicely done, letting the contour of the green try to chase it back toward that back left hole location.
Next to play, Langer.
Well, just a perfect angle. 209 left for his second here. Right-hand side of the fairway. As I mentioned, this green does slope from right to left. Nice solid contact. That will be a long eagle attempt.
That wasn't pretty.
But it would be two. That wasn't pretty, he says, but
it's on dry land, right?
on dry land. Many pretty shots.
Handle it from there. Well, hopefully, yeah. Hopefully we can manage from there.
And Dave, he has really put on the display this week. He's from start to finish, really tough to do.
You heard his caddy say, enjoy the walk with an 8-shot lead safely aboard the home hole. You can do that. Bernhard Langer, certain to claim his first victory on the Champions Tour. Tom Kyte with an eagle putt trying to get to 17 under to, at least for the moment, leapfrog Mark O'Meara into second place.
And Dave, you said it, a perfect setting here at the 18th. Big swinger from right to left. Not too bad from that distance.
There have been no eagles on 18 yet today.
And that is surprising, you know, this whole playing downwind today. And most of the players just around the 200-yard left for their second if they're able to drive it in the fairway.
Big hitters like Pertzer with a 7-iron in, but really the focus right now is all on Bernhard Langer. These are the low 54-hole scores. We've got Bruce Fleischer and Lauren Roberts each shooting 191. Roberts, that was at the par 72 Hualalai golf course, so his in relation to par is the lowest. Langer makes to break, 2 putts to tie, but more important than that, an 8-shot lead.
Well, coming from the severe right-hand side of this green, he is going to play some 10 to 12 foot of break here.
When you start 70 feet away, you end up 3.5 feet away. You got to be happy with that. He'll be the 4th wire-to-wire finish winner actually this year. Some great names in there. Fred Funk, another rookie, did that at the start of the year, second event of the year. R.W. Eakes in his win at Hickory, his second win of the year, second win of his career. Jay Haas at the principal. Now O'Meara. For eagle, 2 putts solidifies his second place finish.
And it puts him 18 under par, and it's incredible. If he does hold this, that is not good enough to win this event.
Well, 17 under, where he'll finish, is good enough to have won the event. Any of the other editions that it went 54 holes, a little rain out last year on Sunday, where Jay Haas won by a whopping 5 shots. Langer looks like he's going to eclipse that mark too. Great to see O'Meara playing well. Final round of the Constellation, a nice round. 3 good rounds here. He'd gotten away, spent a couple of weeks with a spey rod, steelhead fishing. Was gone for 10 days, caught 5 fish, and enjoyed it. I don't really get that sport, but he loves it. Now Tom Kyte for birdie. Finishes sole possession of 3rd 103 starts in Texas, no wins, only 3 runner-up finishes. Wouldn't it be appropriate for him to win next week and break that string, that classic course that Tillinghast designed in San Antonio? Now, Bernhard Langer for his first Champions Tour victory.
Hey, awesome playing. Great display golf. Great champion. Good job. Way to go. Way to go.
Well done. Thanks. Great job. Great. Welcome to the Champions Tour. Appreciate it. You guys.